So I'm Dmitry Lazarichev, a co-founder, co-CEO of Wirex. We've been around for 11 years already, and we've been focusing on bridging blockchain and traditional payments. But today it's an interesting question for us to discuss. Not everyone wants a bank, so why we keep trying to clone them? That's the big question. And a hint, you can see it, we just need to focus on building what banks cannot or won't. So if you check the roadmaps of many teams, you can see that a lot of attention towards we need to build like the payment capabilities, credit, the payment cards, the bank accounts, etc., which looks like a bank, and but essentially, when we do this, and I understand why people are doing that. It makes sense because we would like to go and get as much adoption as possible, and in order to do so, it's better to introduce some products that like similar to the products from Web2. But here we also have a risk, right? Because if it looks like a bank, we also inherit all the problems from that, like, you know, the working hours, the customer queues, and customer support queues, and lots of other things that we would like to avoid. And more importantly is where you have limitations going from one country to another, so it's not purely global. So let's talk about the three potential agents that may not need a bank account. So it's a freelancer, so he's interested in getting paid as fast as possible, as cheap as possible, as often as possible. And there is a DAO treasurer who needs to manage the treasury funds. And again, they don't want to do the PDF and the policies. They would like to rule in code. And the third one is a machine or an agent. So if you were wondering when we start talking about AI, it's on this slide. At the same time, let's be mindful that the banks are doing quite a lot of things relatively well. One is payments. Local, international, cross-border, credit and lending products, investments. They do the advice as well. And these things are very important to a lot of people. And so we also need to kind of understand it, and maybe some of the things we can copy, and we'll talk about this a little bit later. Let's proceed. Web3 has its own superpowers. Number one, it's self-custody. So what the self-custody means, I guess you all know, but essentially you have the full control over your wallet, over your funds. You don't need any third party to impose any limits, any limitations or limits per transaction on you. You can do whatever you want with this wallet. And this is unavailable with the banks and never probably going to be available. Open liquidity, the markets are open for everyone, available 24/7 without any issues. Programmed settlement. So if you look at the traditional payment, essentially if you receive your funds on your Revolut account, for example, you see it immediately, but on the background, actually, the payment is happening a lot later. So it splits into parts, actual payment initiation and the settlement. With blockchain, you don't have it, and it's great, right? If there is a payment, it settles immediately. And the interesting things, I can't really imagine how AI agents can work with the traditional rails, but with on Web3, with blockchain and self-custody wallets, actually there is a limitless opportunity there. Some of the things here look very, very similar. So we've got payments on both Web2 and Web3. We've got the credit. You can get a loan on Web3 as well. You can do the payments, and you can invest in order to get the yield. Although the functions are the same or look the same, the form is completely different, right? Because with banks, it's very regulated, very much safe to some extent, whereby on Web3, it's open market, right? And it's global, it's programmable, and it's very transparent. So the things we can borrow from the banks are the following. So first, it's if you make a mistake, it's not a big problem with the bank. Usually, you can still get you can regain access to your bank account. You can call the call center and try to fix the things. With Web3, it's not the same, especially with the legacy wallets. If you lost your seed phrase, you may lose access to your funds, unfortunately. So this is the thing that shouldn't be there and it should be fixed. And there are a lot of wallets already removing the seed element from the wallets, and so those are completely seedless. The ecosystem in general should be regulated at the edges. On and off ramp stays regulated, but what's happening inside the container on the Web3 space, that's where obviously only KYT can be applicable. Everything else is free and really only limited by your imagination. And we need everyday utility for the payments, especially for the merchant acceptance. That's, I think, where we are lagging a lot at the current time. So you can't really go to a corner shop and pay in stable coins from your wallet, unfortunately. I know a lot of firms are trying to build something around this and solve this problem, but we are not there yet, and I think there is a good potential for some of the startups that can really solve it, or we all together as a community can solve it. And so we can pay with stable coins with merchants. So that'd be like a game changer, I think. So what Web3 can offer and do differently, it's a lot of use cases that you can see. So the payroll, you can get your payment every day, every hour if you want. Obviously with banks, it's not possible. You can settle again immediately. You can add AI agents here in order to help you to build a product that you want. So a couple of examples of the products that, from my perspective, make sense to build at the current time. Again, it's the payroll, it's treasury that can be very much be managed programmatically. Open liquidity, AI agent with wallet, so you can integrate AI agent to your wallet, give them permission, and the guardrail should be there, and manual override if needed, but essentially you can do whatever you wanted. So that's an amazing opportunity. And so in this case, the infrastructure, we don't want to replace the banks. We just want to be focusing on the areas where banks cannot build anything or they won't. So the coexisting would be looking something like that, whereby we have the edges on and off ramp under licensed and compliant. Inside, it's only KYT, but basically what we have inside is just a green field, a blue ocean for us to build something valuable. And a couple of notes, we need to ship responsibly, especially when it comes to the risks. We often think, okay, these risks are understandable as DeFi, as blockchain can be hacked, a smart contract or a wallet or the Oracle, but we need to explain these risks. So people need to understand before they use it what the risks are, how they can make sure that they are safer, and what they do if something wrong is happening. So yeah, and that's essentially like the main message I'm trying to send to you guys. Don't build another bank. Focus on where the banks cannot or will not do anything. And that's a very exciting time. Finally, if you want to check out it's Wirex Business, we give you access to all the payment trails as well as the self-custody wallet, so you can integrate it to your AI agent and give it a try. Thank you very much.